it's hard to be vulnerable when you don't feel safe. And to see what's really going on in our ecosystem right now, in our world, it's very hard to do deeper work when the truth of the Sacred Heart hasn't felt safe in our own truth. We have protected ourselves from our full expression by playing small. So we learn to become a pencil. We camouflage and we mask ourselves through life. We are showered with this new age term, wholeness. And when we really look at what that means and pull it apart, to me, what we're really going to walk through, little do we know the power we have, but being whole means that nothing more than the ability to look at the light, to look at the dark, and that we had the ability to wake up to that seventh and above chakra system, that we co-create this life from a higher vibration. And that's where this true freedom is at, when we're at this vibration of ascension versus the shadow, where we inherit patterns over and over again. So you, my friend, you're a mystical being, your soul, you're this gathering architecture, this evolution from frequency and also high frequency. So we're going to be going through how we can open to this, how we can stay open to that higher frequency, and what pulls us back down into that lower vibration, because we are constantly moving in and out of different dimensions. And right now, due to the resonance, the planet Earth has also a chakra system. And we are connected to that chakra system in the morphogenetic field. So with that said, with the morphogenetic field is also connected to our heart chakra, which is this critical energetic vortex that often is impeded in our flow of infinite force. As a psychic and a holographic practitioner, I thought it would be supportive to share the mechanics of the mystical side of why we experience such deep pain through self protection, mainly in the heart chakra area. So, we all desire, my friends, to, even in the chaos that's going on, to have this deep pain resolved and feel this internal peace. So, I want to walk through the mechanics, then the process of the breakthrough, and how we can actually have fast resolve when we work through the shadow archetype, when we work with the emotional circuit, the contract in the superconscious field. This is the aspect that I run my clients through in a holographic lens. And I've been saying this global nervous system is on the fast track of ascension and healing upgrades. Most of you have been feeling it, but we must choose. If we really want to look at the fragments that distort our energy field and our life force energy. So let's step into the heart chakra and how this energy running through our energy body gets challenged and blocked, and how the communication center of this beautiful area is connected to the larger cosmos of light intelligence. And this energetic torus gets leaks, and we are the manifestation of blocking our own chakra system. We're denying love. So it gets fragmented in energy, it shatters in pieces like glass in the heart space. Now, these fragments are often formed from past trauma, limiting perceptions of reality due to your conditioning, your programming, even past or ancestral wounds that can show up in this lifetime. Actually, they do. So I want you to imagine a snake that's like shedding all its skin. It's ready for growth and renewal. But what if the snake chooses to hold on to all of its dead skin cells? It becomes heavy, it's restricted, it's unable to move freely. This is literally what happens unconsciously when these ancestral wounds are not healed from the past. It distorts the heart chakra. Now, these blockages usually happen between the age 7 and below. They get cemented into our unconscious mind. It's called the critical factor filter. Being open, basically what happens is that thing between your conscious mind and unconscious mind allows everything in, because you don't have the brain growth to be able to have boundaries and bounce it out. And this shows 70% of adults have experienced some kind of trauma in their lives that rewire their nervous system to self-protection. So in this wiring, it's not upgraded. There is no expansion. We get stuck in those lower primal chakras. So in order to then evolve and to step into the vertical light intelligence that I talk about, you have to have a willingness to heal it and feel it. There's just no way around it. It's a past events and the creative belief and the wiring around that never gets pulled apart and upgraded. We remain stuck in the lower chakras. Most people live their whole life there. And when I talk about vertical intelligence, it's how I connect to my psychic intelligence. It's the divinity that all of us have connection to. And it's where we optimally want to live from when we're connecting to the divine or pulling in information or need guidance from our spirit guides. So, this is why the fastest way to your next actualized transition in life, especially right now, we're all having upgrades. At its core, the vertical intelligence, that prism of light that you're dropped in, just pure truth, is the healing for trauma. That's the opposite of living in this slave matrix that they put us into in our box. We connect back to that divine intelligence. Now, let's talk a little bit about archetypes and discuss the archetypes, specifically the wounded child archetype. So, I'm going to walk through an example of evolution and a way for you to step into my holographic readings so you can have a little bit of taste of how it feels to go through it and what we do. So, let's review for an example. We're going to use the wounded child archetype. This often grows into a caregiver role as an archetype as an adult. So that archetype then has a subconscious pattern that shapes our relationships, and it often develops as this key survival mechanism response to trauma or difficult experiences. This archetype can manifest then, like I said, to the caregiver role, where individuals basically prioritize others over themselves. It can then lead to emotional exhaustion and burnout. And they're continuously putting others' needs in front of theirs, being drained, and they're constantly depleted. And then what we get is essentially a disconnect from self. We lose touch with our own feelings. We don't have desires. We have this leading sense of unworthiness or lack of self compassion because we've disconnected from the field. And you want so badly to be a healer, your intuition is then distorted because your caregiver role is trying to give you a sense of safety, but it's hindering the ability to access your intuition and make choices that truly serve you because you're dealing with the horizontal plane. You're picking up all these other different sensory systems and you lost that divinity to the light and or it's distorted. So next is then the heart chakra, which is associated with compassion and connection. That is impacted by this caregiver archetype because it turns into then next an unconscious contract. The belief may sound like I will prioritize others before myself. I'll sacrifice my well-being and happiness in the process at all costs. So again, here it is. We can uncreate a contract if we created it. If we identify the chakra involved, which in this example is the heart chakra, primary case in this example, and then we connect to the archetype that is adapting to protect yourself. We acknowledge the caregiver that then grows up, and then we identify the contract and recognize the unconscious agreement that is holding you back. And the last is to release it with intention, with letting go, with the blessing, and being guided in the process. So the heart chakra, remember, is this fourth layer. It is this celestial influence. So this emotional circuit to disconnect from is not ideal, my friends. It is our opening to empathy. So we will then start to repeat these patterns and these layers and barriers start to disconnect us even more from our truths. This inadequacy is then felt in that heart chakra. We've all felt that heartbreak or that lack of joy, and we don't know where to access it. My personal experience with the religious programming, where does someone turn for highly regarded leadership if there's no one around you that you can trust? So what are you going to do? You're going to isolate. And then you become a caregiver because the wholeness of you create isolation and you're going to take care of everybody else because that's where your sense of identity is. So Let's then paint a picture of the unconscious contract, which is again attached to the heart, which is leaded by the wounded child archetype. Becoming an intuitive adult means that we mystically can rise up into a higher place and self parent that inner child. It's a matter of unwinding what I call in hypnotherapy a double bind. You're being totally responsible and powerless at the same time as a child. Even looking at this societally, there's a world in crisis, but there is a feeling that there's nothing you can do about it, which isn't true. So that last phase is really powerful. And this is where we then release the contract. And to release this contract, to review, we must, number one, acknowledge the wounded child's role in creating its protection. It is then to recognize that the contract no longer serves your highest good. And then the third is to create this new contract that allows the vulnerability while maintaining healthy boundaries and patterning the essence of your beautiful auric potential in the heart chakra. And so, to give you an example of another emotion, would be alarmed aloneness. That's also another circuit. This internal dialogue may sound like in your head, I must always take care of others at my own expense. I will believe that I'm lazy when I want to rest. There's a belief that you must earn to rest. That's the nuance. So, this is the unconscious contract. Now, let's look at the release. So, at this point, I invite my clients' guides and my spirit guides and their higher soul to sense into how it feels to really release this and see and understand why you created that shadow archetype. Because there's just as much as the powerful side of the caregiving archetype. So then we reframe it, we release it, we release the old vow, and we essentially, let's just say the vow. So I'll give you an example. I, Stacy, swear to you, mother. Now, this can be a person, it can be an influence, it can be even yourself, that I will always, and this is where you're going to enter your contract response, your promise to protect yourself, take care of others at my own expense, which is in our example of the alarmed aloneness, in order to feel valuable, to be loved, to feel protected, no matter the cost to myself. That's it. Now, lastly, we then release the contract and we revoke the old vow with a beautiful blessing with our spirit guides. This video is complete in an opportunity to understand the impact of all of these elements and what we go over in the holographic reading. And so, as an intuitive, as a psychic medium, when you have your guides in the room, when you have my guides to then bring in and literally create a space, and I run myself through this process I just walked you through. When you pull apart all the disconnection and distorted energy fields, which are basically trauma that in your life at some point, your body, your beautiful, especially a little baby or a child or what have you, no matter how innocent it was at the time, it is so intense that the body goes offline for a split second and it creates a knot in the energy field, in the auric field. So when I enter the field with my guides, with clients, I can literally pick up on the knots that are attached to the client. But we lead with the client intention, and then we go through this process, the archetype, the shadow archetype, good part of the archetype, the contract that you made, who you made the contract with, the chakra system that it's distorting. Imagine there's a rainbow, okay? If you're an intuitive or a psychic, that rainbow is coming in. It's got blue and yellow and red and green and hot pink and all these different colors. Spectrum. This is light intelligence. It is the intelligence you're picking up. And we created words to explain it. If you have these distorted chakras, your intuitive guidance system, your soul listening system is going to have blockages because it distorts your intuitive hit and your reading because archetype. When you're doing intuitive work, that archetype is going to show up and it's going to distort the field. And you're not going to be in a power position to actually be able to see your client clearly and to see their distortions. So, for all of us, we are moving into all going to be telepathic. This is why this work is so important to me. We identify the contract, we release the contract, and we look at the opposite because we live in a polarity where there's an absolute light to that archetype that you walk in with, and we identify. I'm here to guide you, and it is an opportunity to connect back with your higher intelligence, to connect your soul esteem so that your intuitive guidance as we move forward in this next phase is clear and that you trust the benevolent around us, the galactic council that is supporting and helping us in this great, incredible next phase. So the best is yet to come. I'm sending you all my love, all my light. Thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you on the other side. If you have any questions, reach out. The link is in the bio for access to the sessions. All right. Let's go ahead and step into this brief meditation. So just go ahead and take a gentle breath and feel the gentleness of that breath. Feel how gentle you can be with your breath. And now notice that your breath is actually in your chest and that the power of the breath, your life vortex, is actually around your solar and sacral area. Allow that breath to lead from your tummy. You can keep your eyes open or you can close them. And just breathing through your nose in and out at your own pace. Just allow your mind to do whatever it's doing. Maybe even start to see white clouds just right above you, and you feel all the tension and all the thoughts from today just floating in that white cloud and just floating away. You're starting to feel your mind is more clear. You're just doing this without any judgment and just letting those flow. And imagine yourself focusing on your breath. Focusing on your breath going in and out and how your in-breath connects to your out-breath. And just allowing your mind and your nervous system to come together to just melt into each other, to settle in. And now see this sense of your intuitive body and how your intuitive body can sense at any point energy that's circulating just differently through your body. Is there an area where you feel tension? And just observe it for a few seconds and just try not to resist it and just feel what it feels like not to resist tension in the body or try to stop it. Now imagine your energy field surrounding you and your body. That vortex, remember our heart literally is 7 feet out, this vortex shooting out 7 feet in front of us. It's the most powerful vortex of energy in our body and our chakra system. And feel that surrounding your body. How far does your energy field go around you? Just sense that. And just take the first answer that comes to mind and imagine retracting this energy field closer to your physical body. So you're expanding out. How many feet out does it feel? And then bringing it back into the body. And allow that to come closer to the physical body, bringing it back to you, into your heart chakra. And as you do, feel your light filling up your chest, your heart chakra, this beautiful pink light. And now feel that moving into the color of red that is so passionate and so representative of its self-love and your higher self and your spirit team's love for you. Just dripped in the beautiful bleeding heart of red and pink. And imagine this light now bathing yourself, nurturing you, cherishing you, not judging you, and just imagine you in a bath of nice, beautiful, warm lilac water with lovely rose petals washing the water on your skin. This, in essence, my guides are just sharing the beauty of this space right now. If you're listening to this now or in the future, that this water on your skin is your energy. It's your light energy. It's all the vortex of energy that's available to you now as your light. And as you feel your heart building up in this beautiful vortex of light, stay with this light until it feels like it's overflowing. Feels like it's overflowing with rich love. Maybe even adding again that lilac smell or your favorite essential oil. Just adding it in, and this light is protecting you from all of the chaos outside. It's available to you all the time. So bring that in, building in that light once again, staying with the light until it feels like it's overflowing. And when you feel this light starting to just overabundantly flow and overflow, make the choice to send that love out to the earth, or even maybe even a loved one, or maybe even being resourceful and sending it back to yourself, of thinking about the different situations you've been in when I talked and walked through the phases of the shadow archetype and how we then grow into this mystical adult that creates the archetype to protect itself, but it can turn that archetype into pure light and be the observer of its life as we release the unconscious contract. So send that light back to you in those moments that you felt there's some kind of exchange where it didn't feel right and you had to self-protect. And just staying with that light again, feeling it's overflowing with non-judgmentalness and just pure light and love, maybe even from your guides. And then as you shoot that out to the earth or a loved one or yourself, know that this light knows exactly what you need. And as you bring your light back now into your chest, into your heart chakra, into your body, and into yourself, feel the shift of this light moving from where it was to where it is now, back to you, fulfilling you again. And this is the regenerative power of the vortex of the heart chakra. It's purifying, tapping into that divine divinity of intuitive intelligence, which is that vertical light intelligence. Is bringing it through and cleansing our system and bringing that love in, sending it out, and then allowing it to come back, knowing that you are blessing all that is around you. And feel the shift again, of that light moving where it was to where it is now, back to you, fulfilling you again, enjoying this light, telling yourself, this is my light, my own light, my own love, and my own conditional love. And just focusing back on your heart, feeling your heart expand with the light within your heart, even brighter now. The silence is where that healing can happen. And just trust that healing is happening. With your guidance of your spirit team around you, with you, always. You call on them, they're with you. They do not judge. They always say to my clients, if you could only see the way we see you. And now allow a final release of any discomfort from that heart. Say to yourself, I release and I let go. And forgive yourself for holding on to any kind of grudge, any kind of pain. Understand that's perfectly normal. But you can become the observer of that pain now. And loving yourself for whatever percentage or fullness of the releasing that you had. And just pay attention now to your light, where your light is right now in the auric field. And observe and bring your light into your heart once again, and just feel that expansion in your own heart as you bring that light in. And as you do, just be thankful that you have the capability to master your light, to understand the vertical and prism of light that comes in. And that chakra, the beautiful color of the rainbow, can be so variant and life-giving and experiential when we release these old aspects of shadow contracts. Doesn't need to be hard, it can be very quick. We are in a quickening stage on this planet. And just taking your time now to come back around to yourself with this shift of this new light. And just play with this light tonight before you go to bed. Maybe shooting it out into the sky to your higher self to bring more guidance and light and intelligence into your heart as you sleep. Understand that you expand out all the time, you emanate out all the time, and that what you bring back is what you recharge.